Wake up, you ain't heard the news. Welcome, everybody, to the Fast Break Sports Hour. Starting off a little bit low key, it is September 11th, 2018, 17 years from the just disgraceful moment, disgraceful time in our lives, in this country's existence. For those of you that were alive or remember it, 9/11, it's something that's always going to be etched in all of our minds. And, you don't really think about it as the year goes on, but once you get closer, and especially once you get to the actual date of September 11th, all those memories start coming back of where you were at, what you felt when it was happening, and what you were thinking at the time. And especially condolences go out to those that lost lives that day. Um, and then after that, anybody that's lost their life in the military uh, due to obviously having to be shipped out to other countries to defend our country, the United States of America. Whatever opinion you have as to how it happened or why it happened, that's not the point here. It's the fact that it happened. Twin Towers coming down on 9/11, 2001. And me specifically, I remember I had just started, I was 18 years old, fresh out of high school, and I had just started a job. It was an overnight job, and I was working from midnight to 8 a.m. And this was back in Colorado, northern Colorado area in Longmont. And, normal shift or whatnot. I believe it was the beginning of my second week. So I was still getting used to working the graveyard shift. I had never done that before. So I was on that coffee, man. Like, I was next to the pot, man. Coffee pot, not no other pot. I know Colorado and the Mile High cities used to some other kind of pot, but let's get back to the seriousness of this. And just remember, just hearing things like some of the other my co-employees or whatnot. Just they were talking about something going on, but I still couldn't put one and one together. You don't expect things like this to happen. In 2001, I mean, yeah, there was the internet, we had computers, but there weren't no smartphones. We didn't have the up to date Twitter and just all the social media that where it's just like boom, it just hits you. So it was being announced over the radio, and obviously the local news channels had it. But being at work, it was just random people listening to it on the radio, on their headsets or whatnot, and just man, it's just people were talking about. And I remember this one guy came up to me. He's like, "Man, we had a couple of planes that hit the World Trade Center," and I knew what the World Trade Center was. I knew it was in New York, but I still wasn't putting one and one together. I was like, "What are you talking about?" Like I thought he was talking about a movie. Again, it's we're about to get out of our shift, 8 a.m., and then I jump in the car, I'm driving home. I remember I stopped at a McDonald's, and I'm listening to it on the radio because I'm usually listening to sports radio, and at the time they weren't even talking about sports. Uh, they were talking about how people were frantic trying to get out of the building, and I still didn't understand what was happening. Again, I'm 18 years old, and I'm just like, is this something that's happening locally? Because again, I really didn't put with the guy had told me at work what was going on. I was like, what's going on? I thought it was something locally in Colorado. I thought something was going on with the schools. I thought it was going to be like another school shooting because I was a junior in high school when the whole Columbine thing happened. For those of you that know about that, But yeah, so I was like, oh man, we're going through another one of these things again. Because all I could hear on the radio was talking about they're trying to get people out of the building, and everyone's saying, be careful where you're at, don't make any sudden moves, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, man, I didn't understand until I got home, and and I go downstairs into the basement, and a cousin of mine who, God rest his soul, who has passed. Actually, his birthday is was also September 11th. Oddly enough, crazy enough, my cousin Adrian, rest in peace. He was downstairs watching it, and that's when I started putting one and one together. When I started seeing these planes going into the World Trade Center, I'm like, man, what's going on? And so my first thought is it's fear. It's uh, it's time to defend ourselves. What are we going to do now? Are we going to go to war? What's happening? Because it's happening right in the city of New York, and so you don't you know you've seen the riots of Los Angeles in the early '90s, things of that nature, where it's just it's the local people, it's people of our country. But when this is happening, it's like something's wrong here. Especially once the second airplane hit, you knew something was it was a setup. It was no accident. So yeah, it's fear, it's anger, it's just wondering what's gonna happen next, and just watching everything go through again. Thoughts go out to all those that had family members that just went through this horrific day in U.S. history. It definitely made us stronger as a country in the moment, but I still think we tend to forget that we should all be united and just fight for what we believe in, but do it as a group. We all have different beliefs. I understand all of that. But when it comes to just humanity and caring for one another, that's the most important part. And I think people forget that. I think they put their beliefs and their belief systems ahead of actually just being a kind soul and a kind person. And that's what I think. That's what, if anything, we should have learned from that was, to be better people, and to defend our own, as opposed to attacking one another just because they like the color orange and this person likes the color black. It's not the reason to hate somebody or to attack them personally. But yeah, 9/11. And with that being said, wake up! You ain't heard the news. It's the Fast Break Sports Hour. Thank you for joining me. There's no right way to transition from that to sports, but I think sports at the end of the day is what keeps us all united. We all have something to look forward to, and especially when that happened, we all waited for sports. Sports was what kind of brought us back to normality. And that whatever had happened at the moment at 9/11, it did affect some of the scheduling of sports. But once sports started coming back, we all saw us grow as a country. We need to get back to that, not worry about all the off the field stuff as to this, that, and the other. This group against this group, forget all that. Pick a team, go for that team, cheer for that team, and have some good trash talk against the other fans of the other team you're going against, and just let's have fun with it. But that's what sports does. Monday Night Football, man, two crazy ass games. I'm going to keep it real. Yes, crazy ass games, because one went the way I thought it would, but it was still kind of iffy there in the first half. And then the other one was just a shocker to me. I was just blown away with the New York Jets and what they did to the Detroit Lions. And I don't know if it's more the New York Jets or just the Detroit Lions are just, man, I picked them to go to the playoffs, man. They had to do this to me. I was like, you know what? I'm going to take the Eagles out or the NFC, and I'm going to put the Lions in a wild card spot, making me look bad. You giving up 48 points to the New York Jets. Man, Sam Darnold, man, his first pass is in pick six. Dude, it looked like it was going to be a long day for Sam Darnold. At the end of the day, he had a pretty decent game. 16 for 21, 198, 2 touchdowns, and that said pick. First pass. After that, it was all, man, nothing but good stuff coming from that quarterback. And Crowell, man, 10 carries, 102 yards, 2 touchdowns. Man, that's a 10 per carry average. If they can have that recipe going with Todd Bowles' defense, because Todd Bowles, that's what he's known for. New York Jets head coach, going back to being a defense coordinator for the Arizona Cardinals. he's known for his defense. He's known for finding out what the other team is good at and attacking the other team. And that's what he did. And Matthew Stafford, 4 interceptions. I'm waiting for this guy. I've been waiting for this guy to jump into that new level. He's always been kind of like the second level when it comes to quarterbacks, where he's a top there. All he needs is a little bit more just to get into the upper echelon. He's not doing it. And again, week one, it's we always overreact after one game. It is the first game of the season. I'm not gonna say that the Lions are done. I'm not gonna say Matthew Stafford is done. But that was just a horrendous showing on Monday Night Football against a team that I figured was going to be 3-13, 4-12, rookie quarterback, youngest quarterback to ever start a football game. And the Lions come out and they show that. And I talked about it when it was me and Angel from the Mile High podcast, when we had our opening show on the Fast Break Sports Hour. We talked about coaches that could probably be on the hot seat. And though it's his first year, I said Matt Patricia is going to be on the hot seat because he's coming from the Bill Belichick coaching tree. And if you look at past coaches that came from the Bill Belichick coaching tree, duds, man. And he's adding to this. And that was just a horrible outing. You let a rookie quarterback with a lot of moving pieces when you talk about the running back position with Isaiah Crowell. And even the receiver position, they brought in Terrell Pryor, Quincy Enunwa coming back from last year, who was hurt most of the season, who had a pretty good first year. Second year was hurt. This year, looking full force, had a pretty good game, had a touchdown at that. So, bad showing from the Detroit Lions. I feel bad for their fans because, man, this is Monday Night Football. This is your opening game in Detroit. The Detroit Duds didn't do anything but provide you with that. And I'm putting the blame on Matt Patricia and Matthew Stafford. That's where all the blame's going to go. But because 48 points, you can say, well, the defense didn't do its job. No way. When Matthew Stafford is back there throwing 4 interceptions, and one of them's a pick six, and you're adding to that total, you're putting the defense in bad position. Hey, if I know something about bad quarterback play and putting your defense into bad position, hey, ask me. The Denver Broncos last year, bad quarterback play, a defense that's really, really good, putting them in bad position, making them look really, really bad. That's what happened to the Detroit Lions yesterday. That defense was out on the field, and you can't blame the weapons that Matthew Stafford has. His trio of wide receivers is, man, it's up there. It's up there with Golden Tate, with Marvin Jones Jr., with Kenny Golladay. I mean, what more can you ask for? And then they got this new rookie running back, Kerryon Johnson, who looked pretty decent. They have to commit to running the ball a little bit more. Are we going to have to baby Matthew Stafford? Are we going to have to bring him along like he's a rookie again? Let's run the ball a couple times and let's throw on third down. That's what it's looking like because he's just not getting the job done. And it's not like these are interceptions where the ball is tipped. These are just horrendous throws. These are bad decisions, holding on to the ball, set off the back foot. All that stuff that you hear all the time about why a quarterback had a bad game. That's what Matthew Stafford did. Big ups to the New York Jets for going into Detroit. Todd Bowles, big ups for them just, man, putting their foot down and saying, we know what you're doing, Matthew Stafford. We're going to stop it, and we're going to put up 48 points while we stop it. And the Jets start off with a 1-0 record. And, man, here we go. Sam Darnold, the youngest quarterback to ever start a game, gets a victory, plays pretty good for what was expected. It didn't look good at the beginning, but he definitely stepped up and showed why he was the the second quarterback taken. I thought he should have been the first quarterback taken. Second quarterback taken in an NFL draft at the number 3 position with the New York Jets. Doubleheader, second game. I expected this kind of outcome. I expected the Raiders to put up a little bit more of a fight, which it looked like in the first half. They were up going into the half 13-10. It looked like they had the recipe for success to beating a high-powered Los Angeles Rams team. Again, was it the play calling that the Raiders had going? Was it just the game plan in itself? Or was it the simple fact that the Los Angeles Rams didn't play any of their starters in the preseason? And it took them a while to get going. So those are the things that are out there. Nonetheless, the Raiders were up 13-10 going into the half. And that's when the Rams said, you know what? That's it. That's enough. Let's get things going. Let's show this team. Let's show the world on prime time. And it's a late start, so probably a lot of people on the East Coast didn't get a chance to watch these West Coast teams go at it. But they proved their point. They came out in the second half, outscored the Oakland Raiders. I hesitate to call them the Oakland Raiders because I don't know if they're the Oakland Raiders, the Los Angeles Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders, San Antonio Raiders, whatever they are, playing like trash, the trashy Raiders. They outscored the Oakland Raiders 23-0 in the second half. And if you look at the game, Jared Cook, man, outstanding game. 9 catches, 180 yards, tight end for the Oakland Raiders. But that was the game plan. That's all the Raiders did was throw to the tight end and dump off to the running back. You look at Jordy Nelson, he only had 3 catches for 23 yards. Amari Cooper was nowhere to be found. That trend continues. You wonder if he's ever going to come back to Amari Cooper, 2016 Amari Cooper, where he just knocked his socks off the NFL, along with Derek Carr. And Derek Carr, again, yeah, he threw for 300 yards with Jared Cook getting 180 of those and a lot of dump-off passes. But he also threw 3 interceptions, no touchdowns, no meaningful plays when you look at anything in the second half. And it just goes back to the question that I've definitely put out there. Derek Carr, man, overrated quarterback. Derek Carr, ever since he broke his leg, just isn't the same quarterback. And his decision making is he's going for the safety blanket. He's going for the tight end in the middle and the dump offs to the running back. Now, is it the receivers can't get open, or he doesn't trust his receivers, or he doesn't trust the timing to hold on to the ball until these receivers make their breaks? And once that pocket gets closed in, you can see he gets a little bit nervous. But it's yeah, I hate the Raiders. I'm a Bronco fan, but I'm gonna keep it real. The Raiders looked good in the first half, and I was kind of like, man, this team's gonna be all right. But then in the second half, they were just they were actually worse than what I expected them to be. When I predicted this game on Friday, I said Rams 33, Raiders 23, putting up somewhat of a fight. Rams did their part with the 33, with the Raiders, man, 13 points. You give your head coach John Gruden $100 million. You give the quarterback Derek Carr $125 million, and that's what they put out there on Monday Night Football in front of the home crowd. Marshawn Lynch is hyped. He's got his cousin Marcus Peters there. They're hyped. They're trying to prove a point. And how about Marcus Peters, man? How about that secondary? They weren't able to stop the tight end, but that secondary shut down those receivers. And then Marcus Peters getting that pick six at the end of the game, doing some little Marshawn Lynch action as he dives into the end zone. Man, adding some more, inflicting pain on that Raiders team. And again, man, Raiders on a short week. Obviously, the other 3 teams on a short week as well. But when you lose the way the Raiders lose, then you go back on the road and you got to play a team like the Denver Broncos, who are still trying to figure things out, who got the win. It looks like a team that's still kind of building their way to what they're supposed to be. It's going to be tough for the Raiders. A loss like this can go a lot of ways. It can say, you know what? We tried our best. Let's just pack our bags. Let's end the season here. Get ready for Las Vegas next year, which I'm hoping for. Or they could say, you know what? Let's bring back the first half. Whatever we did in the first half, it worked. And let's be that team that just pounds the ball and babies Derek Carr until he says, you know what? I'm going to step my game up. But Todd Gurley for the Los Angeles Rams did what Todd Gurley does. Over 100 yards rushing, had a TD reception. So the Rams are looking like the Rams. And with that, they're moving up in my top 10 in my power rankings. That's going to come up here in a little bit. But Monday Night Football, in a whole, it was fun to see a lot of points put up. But these games weren't games. They were 2 blowouts. That's what it was. You saw one half of good football, which was the second game, the Rams and the Raiders, with the Raiders going. Yeah, it's odd to say, but the Raiders were going into the half 13-10 over the Rams, and it looked like, hey, the Raiders got something going here, but came back down to earth. That or the Rams woke up and said, you know what, pedal to the metal. Let's show the NFL that last year was not was not. You're not going to have a sophomore slump. And that's what it was looking like. And that's what people were worried about. I was worried about that for Jared Goff. That, they came out full force. They were the best offense from beginning to end, high scoring offense from beginning to end. And my question was, Jared Goff got to do it again? Yeah, he's got Todd Gurley, and he's got weapons at the receiver position with Brandon Cooks, with Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods. But it was all on Jared Goff. It was on the coach. Are you guys going to come out here and just continue what they're doing? And it wasn't. The trend continues. The Rams are still the Los Angeles Rams. Not the greatest show on turf, but pretty damn good. So that's still a trend here. The Rams are still trending that way to being one of the best offenses in football, and even that defense. I mean, when you have a defense where you got studs everywhere, man, and they know it. They know it. They come out and they talk that smack, and they have that swagger. It's going to be tough to beat a team like that. And you wonder who's actually going to give the Rams the first L this season. That's going to be fun to see. But the Rams are here full force. And again, moving up on my power rankings. Now, with that being said, they were number 3 in my power rankings. So if they're moving up, could they be the new number 1 team? Find out here in a little bit. But football, man, we have a game already in 2 days, thanks to Thursday Night Football, where we got the Baltimore Ravens, who were impressive against the Buffalo Bills, put a shellacking on the Buffalo Bills 47-3. That game was over in the first 3 minutes. Yep, it was over. It was a wrap. Mercy rule was I should have been in effect. I thought it was going to be in effect, but they kept playing. Ravens kept putting up points. Josh Allen got to see the field. He was like, you know what? I put up 3 points. Probably still won't start. Probably still going to be Nathan Peterman for the Bills. But even the Bengals getting a big win in Indianapolis. Either way you cut it, you win on the road. It's a big win. I don't care who the opponent is. It's week 1. It's one of those things where, again, you're trying to figure out what your team's all about. Bengals got a big win against Andrew Luck. Now you got Bengals, you got Ravens. Thursday Night Football. Who's going to stay undefeated? Who's going to stay undefeated? That whole division is undefeated. If you think about it, Ravens are 1-0. The Bengals are 1-0. The Steelers are tied. The Browns are tied. So they're all undefeated. Let's keep it real. That division is the number 1 division so far when you look at just no losses. And one team's going to get the first L, unless there's a tie. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say this game's not going to end in a tie. Early on, I like the Ravens. We'll talk about that game more on Thursday on the Fast Break Sports Hour pre-Thursday night special. Let's slowly drift over to Major League Baseball. And we haven't talked about baseball in a while since I was last here on Friday. I got the hat going. And not much has changed, except for maybe a couple teams that are starting to fall back a little bit. And with those teams falling back, you're creating more space. You kind of see things a little bit more clear. They still have everything in front of them. Everything is still there for them to take. But these 2 teams have to start winning. And when I'm talking about these 2 teams, I'm talking about the Philadelphia Phillies, who I mentioned last week. They look like a team that's going to start to fall off, and they are. They're 5 games out of their division. They're 5 games out of the wild card. The only reason why I still give them a shot is because they still have these 2 series against the Braves. Now, they're going to have to sweep these series or maybe take 5 out of the 2 series, 5 wins to have some sort of chance. Wild card is going to be a little bit tough for the Phillies to get in now. Again, with them being 5 games out of it, I just don't see them contending because they don't really have a say when it comes to the teams they play ahead of them. Yeah, they play the Rockies still, but the Rockies aren't in the wild card right now. The Rockies are leading the division. So the Phillies are that first team that it's looking like they're the next team to be on the chopping block. We'll have a clearer picture towards the end of the week because they didn't play yesterday. The game was postponed. They're playing a doubleheader today against the Nationals. And the other team that has taken a step back is the Arizona Diamondbacks, who are now 2-8 in their last 10. And it was just 10 days ago where they were in first place in the NOS. They are now in third place, and they are 3.5 after losing to the Rockies yesterday, after getting blasted by the Rockies in 2 innings worth of work. Man, they were Diamondbacks. So they got to do something with their relief pitching. Now they only scored 2 runs, but their relief pitching is been about as bad as any relief pitching in this league, National League or American League at that. They give up, I believe it was the fifth inning. It was either the fourth or the fifth inning. They gave up 6 runs, and then later on they gave up another 7-run inning, and they lose 13-2 to the Colorado Rockies, a team they have to beat to catch up. Again, they're 3.5 with 3 games left in the series. So Diamondbacks, obviously they want the sweep from here on out, but I think they have to get 2 out of 3, or else you can call it a wrap on the Diamondbacks when you talk about the division. I'm not going to say the wild card, but when we talk about the division, if they lose 2 out of these 3 or more, man, you're looking at 3.5 now. If they lose the 2 out of the next 3, they're going to be 4.5 out, and it's going to be tough sledding. Yeah, they still got a series with the Dodgers and another series with the Rockies, but that's going to be a lot of games to make up. So at 3.5, they're going to have to find a way to get back to 2.5 before their series is over with the Rockies. If they're able to sweep the Rockies, man, that's all great for them, because that'll put them closer to that number 1 spot. All depend on what the Dodgers do. Speaking of the Dodgers, they blow a great chance to stay within half a game with the Rockies, and they lose to the Reds. Man, these are the games you cannot be losing. You cannot lose to teams that are 20 games out of first place in the Cincinnati Reds, and in the fashion they lost. Alex Wood, man, that was a bad outing. I don't know if the consistency is just not there. You like the 6 runs is fine for the Dodgers. That should be enough to get a win, especially against a Reds team like this. You give up 10 runs and you're playing catch up the whole game. Really never had a shot. There was a moment there where they were down 10-6 and they had the bases loaded with 1 out. Couldn't get nothing out of it. So Dodgers blow a chance to stay within half a game with the Rockies. They stay 1.5 behind, and they're still there. All 3 teams, I believe, are still there for the division. But the Diamondbacks have to be careful, and the Dodgers have to take advantage of these next 2 games against the Reds. Have to take advantage. There's no other way to put it. Because after this Reds game, you have tough games against the Cardinals. They still got the Diamondbacks on deck. They got the Rockies on deck. So this is it for these teams that are trying to stay in the chase. But the Diamondbacks, the Phillies, haven't been too good in the last week and a half. And it's showing in the standings. And in the wild card, the Brewers, man, they're making their move. They're making their move so much that they're trying to win the division now. Yes, they beat the Cubs yesterday. I believe it was 3-2. And they've been owning the Cubs lately. And you look at the standings now, both teams have 83 wins. Only difference is the Brewers have 2 more losses. So they're 1 game back of first place in the Central. And that's crazy for me to say. I didn't think I thought the Brewers were going to be one of those teams that fall off, just because history shows that the Brewers are one of those teams that will fall off. And I thought the Cardinals were the team that were going to make that move against the Cubs. But the Cardinals have been pretty steady. They still hold the second wild card spot. They're actually they're holding off the Dodgers and the D-backs. The Dodgers are 2 back of the Cardinals for that last wild card spot. The D-backs are 4 back from the D-backs. Man, it's getting to that point where if you lose these next 2 games, it might be a wrap. And I'll be confident in saying that if you lose these next 2 games, you got 3 games left with the Rockies. If you lose these next 2 games, I'm going to put an axe on the Diamondbacks and putting them to rest. Phillies, I'm going to do it right here. You're done. The Phillies are 5 games back. I wanted to say they were still in it, but just, you're 4-6 the last 10. They're 8-12 in their last 20. And that's what they've been doing. They've been below 500 throughout the month of August and into September, because they were a team that was up there. They were going back and forth with the Braves. But being 5 back from the Braves, 5 back from the wild card, I just don't see it. they're going to have to sweep the Braves in both series to have a decent shot, because we're not looking at 40, 50 games anymore. We're looking at 17, 18, 19 games for these teams, and you're not going to make up 5 games in that amount of time when you look at the wild card, because you need too many teams ahead of you to lose. And then just the Braves again, yeah, you hold your destiny, but you're not going to sweep the Braves both times. What you've been doing recently provides me enough evidence to tell me that you're not going to beat the Braves in 2 series and sweep them both times. So I'm going to call it right now. I'm officially going to say the Philadelphia Phillies are going to be out of this race. I'm not going to talk about them anymore. So we're looking at 4 teams fight for the wild card, and I'm putting the Braves in. Braves got the East, and that's the only team getting in the East. And then you have in the Central, you got Brewers and Cubs. They're going to duke it out for that. Loser of that's going to fall into the wild card, whether it's the first spot, the second spot. Then you got the Cardinals going against the D-backs, the Dodgers at this point, and the Rockies right now top of the West. I still believe all 3 teams have a chance to win the West, unless the D-backs don't step their game up, then I'm gonna have to kick them out as well. And I'm just keeping it real. We don't have enough games left for me to lie to you and say, yeah, you still have a shot. Especially with I told you who the Dodgers play after this Reds schedule. It's nothing compared to what the Diamondbacks have to do. The Diamondbacks have a horrid schedule. They got to play the Rockies, another series with the Rockies, another series with the Dodgers. They have a series with the Houston Astros, defending champions, and they got a series with the Cubs. It's not looking too good. They're going to need to get 2 out of 3 here out of the Rockies. 3 games to really put them back into the swing of things. But it's got to start tonight, and they got their ace pitching in Zach Greinke. So we'll see how that goes. Rockies are doing what they're supposed to do. Trevor Story's been remarkable. Trevor Story here in the last 3 months has been incredible. And I was looking, because I had been talking about him last week a little bit, kind of like he's been popping on my screen. He's just like, man, Trevor Story, Trevor Story, Trevor Story. And I was looking at it, and he was a guy that was batting, I believe, like 240 something back in the beginning of the summer, which, you can't take that and say this is who he is, you know. But it's just been ratcheting it up ever since then. And I believe he's hitting close to 300 now. I believe it's like 280 something. He hit over 300 in July, hit over 300 in August, and believe so. I think it was June, July, and then August was close to 300. And right now in September, he's hitting over 300. So Trevor Story's been the linchpin when you talk about that offense. They balled out yesterday with 17 hits. So the Rockies are winning the games that matter, and they're doing it convincingly. And here we go. Colorado Rockies right now, they have the momentum in their spot. Can they keep it going? Big game tonight. Big game from here on out. I've been saying that for a while now, but it's really, this is it. This is it. Dodgers going against the Reds tonight. No reason for me to say must win, because there's no reason why you should lose to the Reds. But the Dodgers, they amaze me sometimes. So I'm not going to just say they're going to get this game and voila. Again, you had the Cards winning yesterday, 8-7 over the Pirates in a high-scoring affair. Braves beat the Giants 4-1 yesterday, and all these teams play the same teams again today. Reds, Dodgers, D-backs, Rockies, Brewers, Cubs. That's a big one. Obviously, D-backs, Rockies, a big one. Pirates, Cardinals, Brewers, Giants. Just mentioning the games in the National League that matter, because again, American League, that's good to go. That's etched in stone. Again, Red Sox 1, Astros 2. You have the Cleveland Indians at the 3 spot. You're going to have the Yankees in the first wild card. You're going to have the Oakland Athletics in the second wild card. Don't get me going on this playing game because it's going to take up too much time. I hate it. Man, I can't stand it. But things are getting crazy. I probably say that every day, but it's just a fact. This is why sports are wonderful. Sports are great. And I'm watching that Dodger game. It's going to start here in about, man, what we got? 35 minutes. Yes. And I like it because I'm in Arizona and we're in the Pacific time zone. So I get to watch a Dodger game at 3:40. How about that? That's by the time it's over, it's 6:40. I can go over to watch the Diamondbacks and Rockies. It'll probably be in the third or fourth inning. Man, I got my night set up. I'm gonna spend a little bit of time with my son. I go to the park and take Bruno, our pug, to the park a little bit. We can do 30 minutes of that. Get back to watching the games. Maybe have some good healthy food. We're in a week. It's not cheat day. Cheat days are Sundays. But man, full force baseball. Thursday night football. Baltimore Ravens, Cincinnati Bengals. 2 days away. For those of you that do the fantasy football thing, this is where you guys start picking dudes up, waiver wire, whatnot. Just, hey, man, don't jump to conclusions. Week one does not tell you the whole story. But obviously, if you need if you're lacking in a position, go ahead and take a fire on somebody who just tore it up. Philip Lindsay, just do it. Do something like that. Do something crazy. Stash him away. See if he continues to play like this. Running back for the Denver Broncos from Colorado, born and raised, and went to the to Colorado, CU, the Buffaloes out there in Boulder. That's the only one I'm gonna give y'all today, is because I don't need any running back, so y'all can do that. Go do Philip Lindsay. But there are a couple tight ends out there that showed out that I'm pretty sure none of you guys don't have. But I need a tight end because David Njoku, man, that dude just didn't. He didn't do what he was supposed to do. Now I'm not gonna throw him away. But I still need someone to cover my what because he played like bull sugar. I'm not gonna stand that. I'm gonna let him play again this week. Because David Njoku, man, the dude going against the Saints, and you saw what the Buccaneers did to the Saints. So you better get at least 4 or 5 receptions. Don't hurt my feelings. Don't make me put you on the bench. I do have him out there like for trade bait. Anybody wants some David Njoku action, man, you can have some of that. I'll even throw in Adrian Peterson. Yeah, I do that. Give me a tight end that's going to be consistent. But I still got little belief in David Njoku. But go to the waiver wire, check that stuff out. I'm going to do this for y'all. Maybe after a couple, maybe 3 weeks, I'll be able to tell, who's actually going to do some things. Now, I start sprinkling some things out there as to who will be a good pickup just to tuck away into your bench. And then maybe by week 9, week 10, he's a stud. Yes, that's how you win championships. Through the waiver wire, picking up guys, putting them on the bottom of your bench and waiting for them to explode, man. And all of a sudden you got 3 stud running backs because you drafted 2 stud running backs. Then you picked up another one who is now a top 5 running back because he's going off. That happens every year. So keep it locked. Fast Break Sports Hour, we're doing all the time. Yesterday I talked about how I was going to talk about today a little NBA because I'm a Phoenix Suns fan, but not even just because of that. Devin Booker is a big deal. Devin Booker is that guy that's going to be that next. I'm not going to say Kobe, because you got to win to be Kobe. But he's going to be that kind of player in that mold. We got that killer attitude where he's just going to put up whatever he puts up. He had that 70-point game a couple years ago. And he's a guy that just continues to get better every year. He averaged 24 points. The reason why I bring up Devin Booker is because he signed that big deal a couple months ago. And so he solidified with the Suns. But now reports came out over the weekend that he's going to need hand surgery. And so it had everyone like, man, is this going to linger into the season? Are we looking at another Amari Stoudemire thing going on here? Like when Amari Stoudemire, for you Suns fans, know that he had the microfracture surgery, had him out for the rest of the season and some of the next season. And then he had the whole eye thing, he had to fix his eye or whatnot. So it had everyone like, man. And especially if you was an Arizona sports fan, you was like, man, the Cardinals got their butts kicked by the Redskins. The Diamondbacks got their butts kicked by the Braves on Sunday. And then the news of Devin Booker came out. It was like a bad Sunday for Arizona sports fans. Now, I don't really, I'm not a Cardinals fan. I'm not a D-back fan. Oh, heck no, I'm not a D-back fan. But I am a Phoenix Suns fan. But again, I'm not just talking about this because of that. I think Devin Booker is he's an all-star. But he just hasn't made it to the All-Star game just because he's on a bad team, which will slowly start to change with the pieces that they've been putting around him, especially with DeAndre Ayton, Josh Jackson last year. But them getting Trevor Ariza in free agency. But besides all that, Now it's looking like so the procedure's good and done, and he's gonna be out about 6 weeks. So it's gonna be around that time because the season it starts like 2 weeks before, maybe like a week or two before Halloween. So we're looking at it being iffy for him to be there for the first week of the season. If I'm the Phoenix Suns, I take all precaution because this is your guy. This is the guy that's going to take you to wherever you think he's going to take you. So turn that 6 weeks into 2 months, and then bring him along slowly. It's the Suns aren't expected to make a big splash in the playoffs this year, so him missing 4 or 5 games isn't going to really hurt their chances. So stay tuned to that. NBA is going to start coming into full effect about a month from now. When it comes to us talking about NBA on the Fast Break Sports Hour, but right now it's all football, baseball, NFL is definitely on lock. I might sprinkle some college football here or there, but just too many things are happening right now. It's too early in the season. It'll get interesting by week 6, week 7. We can start getting down and checking out who are actually the top teams. We know about the Alabamas. We know about the Ohio States. We know about the Washingtons. So the Georgias, all that good stuff. But Fast Break Sports Hour. Keep it locked. Thank you for joining me today. No show tomorrow. Thursday, be back, man. Full force on Thursday. Talk about the Ravens-Bengals preview. Talk about what happened these last 2 days in baseball, today and tomorrow, and see what kind of movement we have. And Friday is going to be the NFL preview day where we talk about all the games on Sunday. But keep it locked on the Fast Break Sports Hour. Thank you for joining me live here on YouTube. No cuts, no edits. Just bring it to you the way it comes out. It is what it is. Thank you for joining me. Fast Break Sports Hour. Hope you guys have a wonderful Tuesday evening full with love and sports and food and all that good stuff. But keep it healthy because it's not cheat day, all right? Fast Break Sports Hour. Again, thank you for joining me. You guys have a good night. 9/11. Wrong hand. This is the right hand. When you see it, it's going to look like my left, but this is my right hand. Salute to 9/11 and to all of those that lost someone. Heart goes out to everyone. Keep going. Love each other, and that's the main thing that we should learn from that is to continue to love, man. Keep it going. So I'm out of here, and I'm trying to get this music going, and here we go. Fast Break Sports Hour. Thank y'all.